Oh, God. Sorry.
But they're laughing at my pizza choices. Not just this awful one here, but Kevin Schofield and Cindy Yu are laughing at my... Especially Cindy, actually.
I said I'd have a sweet corn and pineapple.
Yeah.
Sweet corn and pineapple. But then I said, someday if I was like, going all out, I'd have pineapple, sweet corn and jalapeno on a Domino's.
Yeah.
Which is just so offensive.
You're really offended by that.
Really
Yeah. Cindy and I are working with...
These are hate crime, actually.
And you also like a stuffed crust?
Oh, yeah, stuffed crust.
Yeah.
It's got to be stuffed crust.
I quite like a stuffed crust, yeah. I've not had one for a long time, though.
Oh.
Anyone feeling hungry yet? Well, it's breakfast time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's terrible, though, because it makes me want another one. I had one last night, and it's a definite once-a-month treat. That one.
We haven't stopped talking about it.
Because I enjoy it so much. It's like such a treat. I really love it. It takes me about 10 minutes to eat the lot. I always get a big one.
10 minutes?
10 minutes? That's quick, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It just got...
Inhale it, yeah.
It just goes. It just goes. Cindy.
Oh, dear.
Here we go.
Let's change the topic.
On to the Express. Ian Duncan-Smith says, I don't understand this, voting for Reform UK would push Britain back into the EU.
Yes, yeah, there is some logical steps here. It was not immediately obvious to me either. But actually, having read the article, I do think it's quite a smart argument for Ian Duncan-Smith and the Conservatives to be making. The point is that if anyone who votes for reform under our political system is voting for a third party, that will split the Tory vote and give the Labour Party a bigger majority than they otherwise would have done. And Labour, as we've seen under Keir Starmer, I mean, he at one point asked for a second referendum. Yeah. Now, obviously, he's not talking about that anymore, but he's still talking about closer relationship with the EU. Whether or not we really rejoin, I think is another question, but certainly a closer relationship. So Ian Duncan-Smith is basically saying, vote for reform, larger Labour majority, more likely for Labour to do what they want with the EU.
Right.
Cunning thinking behind that.
Yeah, a few steps there, but...
It's a fairly negative reason, though, isn't it, to vote Conservative? The best they can come up with is, if you vote for reform, you're going to get back in the EU, which no one really believes anyway. No. There's no way Labour are going to do that. But I think it just shows that, the Tories have maybe run out of ideas, that it's proper scare tactics now. And I don't think that type of thing works with voters,
No, people always go for positives, don't they? But if the quiet man's shouting from the sidelines, then they've got some...
Well, he's someone else whose seat could be precarious.
There's a lot of them.
So
I think he's already said that he might be stepping down.
Oh, has he? Is he one of the... Oh, well, we can talk about that later, is he? There's that many of them.
Actually, that links to one of your stories, Kevin.
Let's talk buses, Kevin. Because we're losing bus services. We're not just losing, we've lost 90% of bus services in the last 15 years.
It's remarkable. So in the 10 worst affected areas, according to analysis by the Eye, they've lost a combined 16 million miles of bus services, which I think if you live in London, you probably don't appreciate. I mean, we're lucky in this city, the bus service is remarkable. But particularly in the north of the country, whole communities effectively cut off because they can't get around, maybe don't have a car, and you live in a rural area, the only way you can get around is by bus. And if they slash the services, then obviously it stands to reason that they're not going to be able to get around. Economically, that's bad as well. Obviously, they're not getting into to go shopping, for instance, but it also says that people with a disability, struggle to get hospital appointments because they can't get there on time because the bus service is gone. And it is very worrying. And it's the type of issue, actually, the old bread and butter issue that really cuts through with voters,
And is this to save money? Is that the bottom line?
Yeah, basically.
Come on, I have got sympathy with this. However, there's got to be an underlying argument that says they're only cutting the services if they're not being used and therefore not making a profit.
That is what they're saying, but at the same time, there's, the Eye has some first-hand accounts of people who say that actually when the bus does come, they're overcrowded.
Yes.
So maybe the cuts have now gone a bit too far, and because they're inconvenient, I guess everyone's trying to get that particular one once an hour or whatever it is.
Environmentally, they're trying to encourage us all to use public transport, and then they're cutting the damn things back.
To get you out your car, yeah, that's right. And I think there needs to be a proper debate. Now, obviously, the buses were deregulated under the Thatcher government many years ago. Manchester have just brought them back into public ownership, so it'll be interesting to see whether that works or not. But I think there's probably an argument for, you're right, Stephen, that economically, there's no point in these private companies putting on services that are uneconomic. But, you know, if the money can be found centrally to subsidise these bus routes
would that be a priority at the moment,
well,
though?
again, that's when you come
But
into
like
the
John
argument.
says, you know, it does align with the net zero agenda. You know,
Well,
it does.
people are trying to drive now instead of...
Shall we talk about the hairiest story of the day? Quite literally. Cindy, this is yours in the Telegraph. Beards are not a solution to the army crisis, evidently.
I just love this headline, beards not a solution to army crisis. And the reason this has happened is because this week the army announced that they will no longer be banning people from having beards, so that if you have a beard or moustache or any facial hair now, you can still join the army, which is like a long-time ban. And Grant Shapps had tweeted basically linking army recruitment to the fact that 54% of men have beards, and said, I asked the army to formally review the outdated beard ban. Today, the sensible change in rules has been made, suggesting as if now that this ban has been removed, men will be flocking towards the army in a way that they haven't been before.
Bearded wonders will be flocking there.
And Ben Wallace and other senior figures in the army have basically said, this is not the problem. And this is not the solution either.
No.
I'm not entirely sure that having a beard is what's putting a lot of people off from signing up.
Yeah, but it has to be a certain kind of beard as well. They actually measure them now as well.
They do. Well, it's got to be right. It's got to be smart and nice. Right, thank you both very much indeed. We'll see you a little bit later on. Let's have a look at the weather with Craig.